It's happening. We're live. That was easy. I'm ready. All right. Today we are doing what I like to call a sprint, writing sprint. We're going to wait a little bit for some people to show up. And of course, the whole point is every Saturday is a different thing, right? Sometimes we do a little educational, sometimes we do whatever, we ask some questions. But today is all about motivation and giving you a chance to write, or in this case, do a writing sprint. So while I set up my room here, my system, we'll wait for a few people to show up, and then we'll jump in on it, right? All right, so let's put this here. Look at that, that looks nice. That looks nice. All right, and then we want to let's see. Share the screen. Share the screen. Share the screen. All right, what do we got? Actually, you know what? I gotta share the screen. I'm gonna do one of these. Share. Let's see if that works. There we go. You got a nice little thing there. Boom. Okay. Let's get some music going. I can feel it howling in the air tonight. Hold on. I like this one. Great tracking it out. Anyway, how's everyone doing tonight? Everyone doing okay? All right. So yeah, there we go. What do we do today but try? We're gonna try to do maybe an hour, if that. Maybe, we'll see how we feel today. I'll try to do two 20-minute what you call 20-minute sprints, and then we'll take it from there. But ultimately, obviously every Sunday you could ask me questions while we do anything. But today is primarily we're gonna just do a nice writing sprint. There it is. We'll wait for a couple more people to jump in. We got what do we got? Two. We got two right now. Who's there? Who's there? Hello, say hello. Hello, welcome to the day. Welcome to Saturday. Let me know what you're going to be working on today. If you're working on anything, or if you're just sitting there hanging out, listening to the Thomas and the Beard speak. Hey, what's up, flowers? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We're gonna have some background music today. Just so you know, feeding the ducks, it's called. So that should be exciting. I've done it. What have you done? What have you done? What is this? Oh, look at that. You could. What is that? You could star comments. That's interesting. Hey, we got all right. So we got some people here. So by the way, we're doing a writing sprint today. So I'm going to try to do 20-minute. Two 20-minute bursts of spiders, writer sprints. So if you've been looking for some time to write, and you usually give this time to me on Saturdays for an hour, feel free to use it to write, to maybe be productive, read, take a nap, whatever. You could just listen to my voice, because these are the smooth tunes on WRCN. But obviously, if you have questions about writing or whatever, this is always an opportunity to allow a developmental editor / writing teacher to give you some insight onto things. But with that said, I feel like we should just jump right into it. But maybe we'll do a little chitting and chatting before we jump in into the writing. More importantly, okay, remember, writing is about consistency, right? So it's not like how many words you can write or how often you write. It's just that you consistently do write. And by the way, writing, I was just talking with my buddy the other day about this. Writing isn't always on the keyboard and getting those things down. Writing can be more than that. You can use writing as a chance to think about your story. That's considered part of the writing process because there are processes to it, right? So, or steps and stages. So, just reading your stuff out loud, that's part of the writing process. So, don't think that you always have to write. You could do what I like to call skimming. Where you're just rereading things and checking stuff out, taking notes. I use my writing time to do many different things, from brainstorm to work on prose, to line editing, to tracking notes. If you're following the Sunday videos, I you'll see that more and more. I keep track of everything, from my numbers, from the starting numbers to all the way to what elements are in the chapters, and am I keeping the plot points and the arcs going, all these things. So writing doesn't always have to be getting those words on the page. That's a stress to definitely take off the table for yourselves. And if you agree or disagree with me, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. But as always, we're here to have some fun. No judgment. It's a no judgment zone, unless of course you don't like pizza. Then I'm like, what did pizza ever do to you? All right, that's really. As you can see, my beard is sort of growing in finally. I had trimmed it a little bit, but I don't know if I should let it go. I'm thinking about going back to the mountain man, but those days I used to have a really long goatee. It depended on what part of my metal career I was in. All right. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Boop, 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 boop. Look at that. Should we do it this way? This way? Should I do it this way? Maybe this way? Look at that. Let's go this way. Let's go the big one. All right. So we're gonna have some music playing. It's gonna be if it's too loud, just let me know. I can lower it. And we're gonna do a 20-minute sprint, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little. We'll do some chit chatting. We'll do some questions, whatever it is you desire. Let's do it. Let's get into the groove. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Boo! Okay, that was not a bad. That was a pretty. Let's pause that. Get my glasses on because my eyes are killing me. Killing me. Oh, hi there, Nicole. What's up? If you notice, I'm using your video to give you some watch time there because I love you and you're great, amazing, and great. I would have had you on to hang out with me, but I know you're still doing your other stuff, your personal stuff. So I didn't want to, hey, get on. But anyway, I do want you to come on. You are welcome. You are welcome there. Hi, Nicole, and thanks for using my time. Of course, that's what we do here. Anyway, we're only going to try to do an hour. So I'm probably going to do a little bit more talking and then one more. Whatchamacallit's sprint. This is what we call a lazy Saturday. There's nothing too crazy about it. We're just being ourselves. What we got here? We got hello from North Carolina. Welcome, Erin, and North Carolina, beautiful place, I have to say. Been there many a times. I'm currently on a quick break after helping my hubby with putting together metal shelves for the pantry. Now, as a metalhead, you know that the only thing I heard when I read metal shells was Pantera. Yes, Aaron. Yeah, North Carolina, very nice place. So South Carolina, let's be honest. What is it? South of the border too, I think is over there. The place has been ingrained in my head. I see what you did there. Listen, I like to play with words and moments. If anyone's just joining, you're wondering what's going on. I am not blind, but I do wear glasses, and my eyes are feeling a little sour, so I had to wear them right now. But more importantly, oh, here we go. What's your thoughts on a debut poetry book? A specific one, or being a writer and your first book is a poetry book? If the question is debut poetry book, as in like, hey, I'm a writer and here's a book, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There is an argument on the table, though. It's like, what do you want to be established as? Do you want to be, I'm a fantasy writer, I'm a poetry, scribe, I'm a, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But ultimately, what it comes down to is what do you want for your career? If you can answer that question, it'll decide on what is what. When I released my first book, it is a poetry book / lyrics / philosophy, and it's just a collection of everything I had compiled over, I don't know, like 12 or 13 years. I had just beat cancer. I had a cancer journey, and the poetry book was just strictly a gift to myself because I always wanted to kind of put it together, and I was sort of overly motivated after everything. So I was like, I'm going to do this. This is something I want to do, but I was mostly in the entertainment industry doing like screenplays and stuff like that. So I didn't really have time for books, but the poetry book was a gift. So I just put it out there. What's Nicole saying? Really depends what you want to do with your poetry chat book and the style. Instagram poetry is still the trend with the minimalistic cover. Yeah, that's true. Or you can do your own thing and share your poems. Should I self-publish or traditionally? That's great advice, by the way, Nicole. Excellent advice. Again, that comes down to your career goals. When writers say I should traditionally publish, it's not always in your hands. There are too many factors. I have friends who are agents, and I have people in the publishing industry, and some of my mentors, when I was especially, like I said, writing screenplays and stuff like that, they're not always looking for a great writer, if that makes sense. They're always looking for something that makes them money, because an agent gets 10%, and they can't get 10% of something that's great but isn't necessarily marketable, or in that moment something that sells. I've had many conversations where agents brought me in because of my skill, but they're like, we can't sell these projects because the styles are too quote unquote early 2000s or late 90s or whatever the case may be. So I got a lot of my work doing rewrites for people or cleaning up stuff or helping people develop their stories. Because again, it's the same thing with my music career. I made more money being a part of the system than I did writing my own music because heavy metal. Would you recommend Amazon? Some say no. I'd recommend Amazon. I wouldn't disown Amazon. I also there are a couple other ways you could do it. There's you could create a subscription base, kind of like release a chapter at a time, like weekly. You could do that. Charge people $5 a month, so it's basically $1 a chapter. You can create your own social media growth, right? So your social media and your website is sort of like a storefront. Back in the day, it didn't exist because the internet wasn't really a big thing, but now it's everywhere, right? So as a businessman myself, the idea is to create a storefront, create the supply and demand. So you create the demand by describing your message through action, right? Present yourself through social media, represent yourself, and when people start believing in what you say, they like what you have to say, they support you, they want to see you succeed, then they just want stuff from you. And this is why Metallica can sell, a hoodie for $60 at a concert, because people want to pay that money. What else we got? Is it a mix of free verse and sonnets? Could this sell? Anything can sell. If as I tell people, if you don't believe anything can sell, then footpicks.com wouldn't exist. Nor would a majority of things out there. I mean, there's literally a company that makes millions of dollars a year, and it's a poop in a bag, and it's a company. They have to definitely still be around. It's not that it's old. It's an old company. You go send this poop in a bag. What kind of poop is it? And it goes right to somebody's house, and there you go. I have a 20-year-old Metallica tee, but no hoodie now. Well, we gotta get you a hoodie. Gotta get you a hoodie. Metallica. Yeah, no. And look, you have a tee for 20 years. That's an example of supply and demand. You're a fan. Like, if you weren't a fan of Metallica, you'd be like, what am I doing with this? And you use it as a dishwasher or to, clean something with it or whatever. It doesn't, throw it out. Garbage. So yeah, anything can sell. It just my rule of thumb that I've been teaching for over 20 years and what has helped me is you do not sell products. If you put time into selling products, you'll never sell the products long term. You'll only sell them based on the the imprint marketing. So like if I post the same ad 1,000 times and the same 1,000 people see it, the rule of marketing suggests that 10% they'll start noticing it. So 100 people will be like, oh, there's this ad. And then out of them, 10% will click on it. So those that are interested. So that's 10 people. And then 10% of that 10 will buy it. So if the same 1,000 people see the same ad every day for X amount of time, you're guaranteed one sale per 1,000, just based on the rule of law. How did you begin? I began as an illustrator, and then I transitioned into comic books. And then from comic books, I went from being an illustrator to sort of an inker, which is somebody who does all the line tracing and shadowing. And then I became like a story consultant on comic books. I wasn't really confident in my writing, though, because I was maybe 17, 18 at the time. And all my teachers up to that point said I should get a trade because I can't spell because I have dyslexia. But when I went to school, they didn't really know what dyslexia was. Anyway, so illustration, comic books, music. And then I had a 10-year career in the music industry. I basically retired. I did a soft retire from existence. And I got bored. So I got into comedy, which led into my acting career, which then led into more consulting on how to be successful ultimately. And I did that for many, many years. I had a theater. And then I basically got involved at SAG-AFTRA, which is the union for actors. I was in Blink and You'll Miss Me, television and film stuff. I did a lot of theater stuff, and then ultimately, the cancer derailed my entertainment career because I can't really run around like I used to. So I focused mainly on writing. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years, I guess. Yeah, that's my story in a nutshell. No, this is me in a nutshell. All right. A nutshell. By the way, thank you for all the questions, Aaron. This channel loves, as do I, loves questions. Not as much as I love pizza, and not as much as people love my beard. Apparently, I'm just here. I'm just here as the. I just hold the beard. Martial law. Did you take away anything from movie scripts that you apply to your own dialogue and novels? Not only do I apply the majority of my knowledge of dialogue to my novels, but framing. So I use a camera technique in my books. I like to frame like an establishing master shot. I like to kind of picture what it would be if it was a over the shoulder, if it was a French double. Are we doing a mid, a close? So the way I kind of organize the movement, the logical narrative movement of my scenes is through where I feel the camera would be positioned. And the closer we are, obviously, to the face, right? The more emotional I get, or the more I'll slow it down. The pace gets a little slower. I let it breathe, as I call it. And then if I'm trying to showcase certain things, I pull it out. But in film and television, you have these you have to establish certain things. So like if somebody looks over somewhere and they'll show like the door or like a button or something, like, oh, that's the button they got to press, and they might show that on screen. I use that sort of as like a cue in the books too. So uh the one thing that I get a lot of credit for is the cinematic feel of the way I write. And then, of course, the dialogue is very, they're like, oh, your dialogue is strong. And I think it's because I spend so much time. You have to convey so much without it being so exposition-y in dialogue that I think I got a lot out of that. But I do recommend always trying different styles from screenwriting to others because it'll help writing in general. That's a great question, Marshall. Who influenced me in writing in general or in life? My grandfather influenced me. I wasn't really super close with him, but I was my peripheral, because I was too young, but my peripheral to his life is what inspired me to take craft seriously, but also take the business of life seriously on the onion. As far as writing goes, who influenced me in writing? That's the thing. I'm a screenwriter and a television writer, so eh, you know, a lot of the people are like unknown. They're nobodies in the grand scheme of things because they're not Steven Spielbergs. I was once talking to an agent once. She's like, well, if you've never written a Marvel movie, are you really a writer? And you're like, no, yes, because I don't think you understand what being a writer is. But as far as, you know, if you look at like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, those are like my straightforward, like I love the dramatic unfolding of story where in the 80s and the 70s it was usually like Matlock and like here's an episode, so I always like the idea of like taking a show and breaking the show up into, so those writers were always interesting to me. Hudson Hawk is a film, and I think ultimately that movie is perfect. So that really influenced me to say it's okay to try weird things because it's only weird to some people, but there are two parts of the brain that you should be using when you're in your industry. There's your artist brain and your business brain. The artist brain, do what you want creatively. Don't let the business brain touch the artist brain. Write and create what makes sense to you, what drives you, what is your passion, what leads you to even get to the page. Like, you have to care about what you're working on, even if you're working on something as like a hired hand. Like when I get hired, I have to at least have something in common, not only with the client, but with the piece, or like, why do it, right? And then once you're done with the art, you use the business brain to create the career. And the business brain should never touch, right? They shouldn't play in the same box. They have separate jobs. And that really was something that I learned just from having the influence from these people who wrote these television shows. And anyway, someone wanted me to write a screenplay last year. It's tough. It is tough. It's I think the hardest part is the long form narrative allows you to kind of sit in the immersion of it, whereas screenplays are sort of like the action elements should really just be what are we seeing on the screen and not necessarily the interpretation. And then the dialogue can't be like, we must get across this room and over those 3 spots and meet Jacob, and Jacob will give us the ring that we are responsible for opening the next. Like, you can't write dialogue. Like, you have to write dialogue that has emotional truth. However, if you're writing like 20-minute episode, now you do, right? And what is that fine line? So I think writing a script is also fun in that sense, where you have to learn how to make it sound natural, but also you have to create these intricate exposition dumps, which is, if you watch my channel at all, I talk about character exposition. So like narrative exposition is traditional exposition. We need XYZ to do XYZ. Character exposition is sort of like, for example, I'm from Long Island and Brooklyn. So if something comes up, somebody's talking and like, oh, I just had some pizza from Illinois, and then let's say I was a character, and I go, oh, you didn't have pizza then. If it's not from Long Island, it's not pizza, and that's all you need. That little bit is telling you that I have a connection to Long Island, and then later on, you could do another connection where you're like, oh yeah, it's like in Nassau, it's more city than Suffolk's country county kind of feel. And then that's another. So it's called seeding. You seed the elements of exposition throughout it, and it's a little stronger because it's discovery for the reader, or in television for the watcher. And that's stronger to me. That I learned that was stronger. That was a good question. And that's also a good statement. It is tough, but anything's tough. When I was in music, they used to always say, what's harder to learn, the bass or the guitar? They're both equally hard to learn, because if you don't know how to play them to start, you're starting from scratch. However, if you learn bass or guitar first, learning the second instrument is going to be easier, but that's not really necessarily the question that's placed on hand. Everything is hard until you put time into it. Oh, my glasses. Look, it's like Clark Kent and Clark Kent. Clark Kent and Clark Kent. All right. What do we got? 45 minutes in, huh? I feel like we should do another 20-minute sprint. What do you think? Does everyone want to do another sprint, or you just want me to answer more questions? I don't care either way. These live videos are for you, the audience, not necessarily me, the Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What am I working on? We got more. Oh, it's flowers. How do I make MC2's a narrative not sound like MC1? I think I'm doing okay with their dialogue, but narrative is sounding samey. By the way, I love that you use samey. First time doing dual POV. All right. Well, 3 things. First, positions. Make sure that MC1 and MC2 have different positions. Again, for anyone who's new to this channel, positions are the things that people care about. It's not necessarily the motivations. It's the things they care about or don't care about. So the easiest example of a position is I'm a Giants fan, but I'm not an extreme Giants fan to the point where I'm going to paint my face and go to the games. But, if someone says, what team do you like? I go to the Giants, right? And every position will somewhat change, completely change, or not change at all. If it doesn't change at all, they double down. So again, you have to figure out what the positions of the characters are. So if each character has a different position, already how they behave within that narrative is going to change. The second thing is motivation. You have to make sure their motivations they want something completely different. And by the way, they could, again, if I just use an accountant, like they both are accountants and they both work at the same business, one might have the position of, I don't really like working at all. I hate my job, right? And then their motivation is to keep the job, right? And then the other one's motivation is to get a raise and everything. The third thing that is very important to making each narrative distinctive is not the plot per se, but the choices. Character choices, motivations, and positions will change the narrative, even if it's identical as far as plot goes. If they both have a job as accountants and they both want to they both want to keep their job and get as far as they can with the job, their positions, their motivations, and their choices will make those narratives feel distinct to to each character specifically. Hello. Hi. How's it going? Welcome back. I'm doing a writing sprint with Sophie Von Ah. I hope I said that right. Ah, that's a great name, by the way. Sophie. That's a great name. On an iPad Pro. That's awesome. I hope that should be fun. That's cool. And thanks for kind of like jumping over here too. That's I like that. Are you going to write a novel anytime soon? Not only am I writing a novel, every Sunday at 2 p.m., you could see me write the novel on screen in real time. I go through the process, brainstorming, outlining, everything. However, I am also writing, I already wrote 5 self-help books that are being formatted currently. Those are going to go out soon. And then I am writing a 5-book epic fantasy series, but I am going to write all 5 books first before I released any of them, and then I'm going to release one every year. But ultimately, those books are I'm cooking through it. So there's a lot of chunk there. So I have multiple things coming out. The book I'm writing on Sundays live for everyone, well, it's also sort of teaching, is a sci-fi book. Yay! Hey, listen, I'm here to help. I much love that you support me. I'm going to support you and do what I can to help you. When should you brute force an answer to a narrative problem versus letting your subconscious ruminate on the matter? That's a great question, actually. Every time. So I would say the brute force mentality of getting through a problem is when it's not necessarily narratively important to the outcome, and it's just gets to be what I would call a character moment, and it's just getting to see them make choices, and we get to see them kind of behaving, and we get to show the reader who they are through these moments where like inevitably the outcome does affect them, but maybe not the main narrative. When it comes to the main narrative, I would say the main character arc, because like if you watch this channel, the main character arc usually is what I consider the main narrative. But anyway, that you should always be thinking about. That you need to be connecting those dots because there needs to be a strong narrative connection to those moments so they make sense and you can earn them. But as far as like a really great character moment, you can just have fun with that, just as long as you're allowing them to make choices and stuff like that. That's cool. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Aaron. Yeah, it's when I approach it's a 3-series saga. So there's 5 books for the epic fantasy. And the R.R. Martin thing where like he didn't really finish it, and then like the Wheel of Time didn't necessarily get to finish until Brandon Sanderson took over, and then the whole everything is like, so I kind of made like a promise to myself that I'm just gonna finish the first series first. And then once that series is done, then I'll start releasing those books. And while I'm releasing that, I'll start writing the second series. So then by the time the first series is completely released and the audience knows that it's coming, I will absolutely be able to finish that second series and so forth. So it's, but I appreciate that. I am can't go wrong with a cat. Today's poetry is free verse. Do you feel they somewhat shut out traditional poetry? The rhyme. I don't know. I'm not really in that world. I like both. I think both have a position in life. I think both are important. Poetry is the soul, and verse, free verse, I wouldn't say is anything less than. So, yeah. I would. Do I feel they somewhat shut out traditional poetry? I don't know if they do that. I think it just. Here's a good example. in music, I started my music career in jazz, and I slowly went to blues, and then I went to heavy metal, and then I went to like doom metal, and then I went to progressive doom metal, and then all the way. And each area I was in seemed like nothing else existed. So when I was doing jazz, like there was no such thing as rock. Everyone was like jazz, jazz. Everybody, jazz is the best. Jazz is the best. And then when I got to blues, same thing. And then once I got to heavy metal, they were like, oh, everyone goes to jazz, the metal, or metal to jazz, but metal is like right. So I feel like it's the same with writing too. You know, like I have epic fantasy writing friends, and they sort of are engulfed in that world, and it's hard for them to be like erotica. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I can say that they do shut out traditional poetry. I think it just depends on the community that you put a little bit of time into. Martial law, thank you. I always find that my subconscious usually comes up with way better answers, but it can take much longer than sitting at the desk and not leaving until I have something bad or good. Yeah, been there, done that. that's that's definitely if you watch the Sunday videos that I do live where I'm writing the book in real time and I leave it on the screen for people to see, one of the techniques that really has helped me with that specific scenario you're talking about is I like to write broadly, and then as I work through scenes, like as I go back and each step I add more, and every time I'm adding a little bit more and more and more and more, it leads me to a point that when I'm ready to write my prose out and I'm ready to do the quote unquote long form narrative, I have so much information already set in a way where I can just play off of that writing it is just making sense of this. Like, how do I take this information that I put a lot of time into over the course of steps, and how do I let it flow onto the page? And now I'm not worrying necessarily about character arc or plot or the details like names or anything. I'm just worried about my word choices, letting the logical narrative movement flow and all these other things. So that did help me in the long run to sort of get away from that sitting there and being like, what next, because I just try to be as broad as possible, so it's not specific, and then as I do my steps it gets more and more specific. When do I write the twist in a novel? At the beginning, the middle, the end? If that sounds crazy, I wanted to write a novel on Silicon Valley. You could write the twist anywhere you want, technically, but if you follow my videos on the 27 plot point outline, the twist comes at plot point 8, and then there are more twists in Act 3, which is, by the way, all these, I have free files in the Google Drive that's available in the comment section and also the video description areas where it says free resources. And I have all this stuff written out and everything. But yeah, so it's either a plot twist or a pinch, by the way. So plot twist pinch is in plot point 8, and then you want plot twist or pinch in plot point 20 and plot point 21, if that helps. So you definitely want one in Act 1, which sort of like moves you into Act 2, and then you want 2. There's sort of like the first one is like the oops, and then the second one is the darkest moment or the darkest hour, which sends you into what we like to call the rock bottom. Rock bottom. But anyway, yeah, those files are available for anybody to download for free. In fact, here's how do I share? Copy link. There you go, everyone. Enjoy. Right? Does that take us there? Yeah, there it is. Enjoy. It's all free. It's all free for everybody. Anyway. Woo! Almost did an hour. That's not bad. What we got? We got more. By the way, if anyone else has questions, I love answering questions. The plot is that a worker steals Alzheimer's cure from the workroom and cures his grandmother. Then the police runs him down. Neither one of those specifically are a twist or a pinch, but Those are good moments because the stealing the drug, uh, like Act One. I'm assuming Act One is realizing they have to steal the drug to save the grandmama, and then Act Two is stealing the drug, and then Act Three is the police run them down. That's what I'm assuming the story structure is, unless you're doing grandma sick. Act One. The first half of Act Two is stealing it, and the second half of Act Two is the police run, and then the third act is going to sort of be like, do they or do they not get caught? You could do whatever you want with that. By the way, if you use the 27 plot point outline that I kind of like have all organized in the thing, you can write it in 9 acts. You could do it in 3 acts. You could do it in 4 acts. There's a 6 acts version. It just depends. Not that that has anything to do with what you're saying, but but that is a good plot. That's an interesting plot because it's relatable, especially with the grandma. Okay, everybody. What we got? What do we got? 58 minutes. We're doing good. We're doing good. We're doing good. Sorry. One of my favorite writers was messaging me, and I wanted to get her on as a guest, but scheduling always gets in the way. Anyway, by the way, if you have writing to do this week, I recommend giving yourself some time to do it. 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there. When I was first getting into writing before it was professional, I always gave myself 5 minutes every day to just write something. It didn't matter, because even when I did music, that was the goal. It's like if I woke up for school, I fiddle faddle on the guitar. Get home from school before dinner, fiddle faddle. And it wasn't really about practice. It was just touch the instrument. And then when I had days where I could practice. So writing is the same way for me, especially in the beginning. Now I have dedicated writing hours, both for client work and then for myself. Are you going to write about society issues? Well, since I do epic fantasy, I am writing the sci-fi. I don't necessarily write about our worlds, like our current world's society issues, but I do write about the grander concepts of issues. Um, in a way though where I don't necessarily have a point of view. It's a conversation about because I never want my books to come off preachy, so I like to have multiple pushbacks. For example, there's a debate, a theme about is killing someone to protect others murder, right? And there are obviously people that in the story that believe it is not murder, it's defensive, and it's at the core their position is that it's our responsibility. Then there are people like, yeah, it's we're still the ones doing it, like, so then there's positions where it's like, well, I'm choosing to, because the religion is a big thing in my world too. So they're like, I'm choosing to soil my soul to save others. So I'm okay going to Catium, which is like my existence of hell, for the greater good. So there's like that position. So there's like nuanced positions, and that's how I approach a lot of things. How did one begin writing? Where did you get your ideas from? Well, that's a great question. So I've I've always loved fantasy because magic, fireballs. But I started playing Dungeons and Dragons when I was I don't play it anymore, but when I was very young, probably like 8 or 9, my brother and I would play, and I had fond memories of playing, and then that led into playing Dragonlance with friends, and then Ravenloft, and then me creating my own world, and then those worlds turning into stories, uh, and then me creating my own actual role playing system. I just haven't haven't gotten around to doing anything with that. Um, but the story I'm currently writing is based very loosely on a campaign many years ago. Um, which what's interesting is a lot of those characters from that campaign were also based on my comic books that I used to write. Because when I did my comic books, the superheroes I did were more like magical or divine. It wasn't necessarily they were mutants or they had powers like it weren't like a Superman, but there was like gods and then like the chosen ones and then like demons and spirits and all these, and they were just more mystical and fantasy, like, and then that kind of like parlayed into D&D, and then that parlayed into my novels. And actually one of my TV shows that was I had 6 studios interested, but that was right around the time I got the cancer, so that's sort of, you can't film anything when you're doing that. So but that show was actually called The Circle, and it was based on a more modern, like the future, but in our modern time, based on the worlds of where my comic books and my fantasy novels came from. So I was this close to having, that would have been so much fun to just see like certain characters on the screen where you're just like, oh, there they are. But it wasn't in the cards. And then I had a sequel to that show that if the Circle would have went somewhere, called 2120, 23, no, 21-3. Yeah, 21-3, which was basically about God walks among us, but like God was, obviously they're all different gods, different pantheon. It could be. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you do with the surroundings. Is there magic? Is there a magic system that isn't necessarily alakazam, but it could be that they can manipulate, midichlorians. That's technically Star Wars is fantasy sci-fi. The sci-fi is the technology. The fantasy is the, magic. Is it set in sort of a non-modern world? Is it, so all these elements would, but you could have urban fantasy. Urban fantasy is in modern time with a usually a female protagonist doing crimes and stuff like that. Are there any fantasy books that aren't extremely popular that you enjoy? I recently discovered David Forland and have been enjoying it. That actually sounds familiar. David Forland. Oh, this guy. Oh yeah. Yeah, these are good. Uh, the brother of the woods. Doesn't this guy write like Star Wars stuff too, I think? So I don't know if I have any books that are necessary. Again, I'm 47 coming this April. So a lot of the books that I enjoy aren't popular now, but I read a lot of the Dragonlance books, the Autumn Twilight and the Raceland Tasselhoff stuff, and obviously I deeply love the Raceland and the Tales of the Twins, like those kind of books, Autumn Twilight, the Winter Dragons of a Winter Night, like all those books. I like anything with Lord Soth, but those books are so the 80s. But the writing in them, like I reread the book Lord Soth, where it's like his downfall into becoming the Black Rose Knight, and I read that and I was just like, this could not be published today. For many reasons, the writing itself being one of them, but so maybe those books. But I still enjoy it. I enjoyed it because it's like Star Wars. I'm not really a fan of Star Wars, the movies altogether. I mean, there are some things about Star Wars I like, but I love the mythos of Star Wars and I love the idea of Star Wars. That's always been fun. The boy mixes the cure with his potions at home and then cures his grandma. Well, if you're talking about potions, you are leaning more towards fantasy, especially if the potions are like Alakazam, Rigalona, that does touch into the fantasy. What's the recipe for a great novel? Is it the words or character, character, character? Those are the three important things to any great novel. Are the characters making choices? Do they have clear positions? And what are their motivations? A great story, because there are only 7 stories you could tell in the world, like The Monster, the hero's journey, right? Things like that. But it's watching characters make choices, watching characters fail, and having to make choices to get out of it, watching characters debate their positions, watching characters basically have agency and move. And by the way, agency doesn't necessarily mean they always win. It just means that they have agency. They're taking action. They're doing something with their existence. That's what makes a great story. And then you could get A Princess Bride. Then you could get, a Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption is so slow, and it takes place in a prison, and it's just perfect. It's a 10 out of 10 as a film. We're not even talking about books yet. That's just a film. But like the idea is that the characters are so real, and you get to see them adapt and change and evolve, and that's going to make any novel great. If the characters are strong on the page, the plot could be crap, and it would still be an amazing book. Hunger Games is an example of that. The characters are really well defined in that book, but the plot is just, a rebellion. I loved the Goosebumps as a kid and refused to reread them. I feel that comment so hard. Yes, yeah. It's like watching Labyrinth as a film again, and in your head it was the greatest experience as a child. And then you watch it again as an adult, and your adult brain is seeing past the issues, and it's like, no, and you have to shut it off so you can still enjoy David Bowie, even though he's I read a lot of Nancy Drew. Listen, aren't we shouldn't we all be reading Nancy Drew? I mean, she's a great detective, is all I'm saying. Yeah, I'm glad that answer helped. And then I moved into horror. I love a good horror. You can't go wrong with horror, horror. I wanted to write one called The Overseer, as he tries to get the wife of a slave. What's your opinion? That as a concept is not enough information for me to have a strong opinion. I wanted to write one called The Overseer, because being being a wife, being a slave, getting a wife of a slave, I'll put it this way. So because I said character is so important, like if I want a 6'2" Jewish warrior from the 1400s who goes on a quest. I'm not interested in that story yet. There's nothing I said is interesting yet. And the reason is because those are just things, right? So like I always look at stories from the internal, like what is the internal truth? And if that is a strong interest, like if that has something of depth to it, the internal truth of it, it'll make anything you choose to write about, including that, very interesting. But the outside stuff never makes a story interesting, in my opinion. The outside stuff is plot. And on this channel, I talk about how narrative is made up of plot and story. Plot is what needs to happen no matter what, and story is how it unfolds through the emotional choices and experiences of your character. So if you start with a character that is battling through night terrors because of dealing with the visual representation of watching their parents being beheaded in front of them as they try to cope with the new existence of an environment as an orphan, adopted orphan. Now we're talking about something because there's something there. They're battling something. There's something internal. They're dealing, right? So there's so many different elements involved before we even get into who are they, what are they, where do they live, what color is their hair. So those are things I always try to think about. Right. Yeah, see, you get it. You get it. You get it, Aaron Jones. Um, 112. We're doing pretty good here. Doing pretty good. I guess, what do you think? What do you think? Let me look at the clock. Let me look at my phone and see what the deal is. I had a lot of fun with this. This is really what I like doing. The sprint is just sort of, it's fun to do, but at the same time. I don't know if you're still watching, Nicole, but I just got your YouTube thing. Tag. You're my writing buddy. You have no choice now. That's funny. All right. Anyway, all right. So what do we got? 2 more minutes. I guess I could do 2 more questions and then we'll call it a day. I like to try to stick to an hour, but I've been having a lot of fun and I really appreciate all the love. But I do want to also point out, whoop, not that one. Horror. All right, but are you writing horror books? You because the vampire stuff is sexy, right? I think it's like mystery. Aren't you writing like mystery? I don't. I thought you were writing more like mystery. But are you saying you like reading horror flowers? Do you like the horror experience, or do you like writing the horror? That's the question. That's the one we need answers. What is your motivational book? It is less a motivational book and more of a guided series on how to be successful in the entertainment. I loosely retired at 27 to 29, like that time period of my life. It was me slowly transitioning into doing nothing from the music industry, and then I kind of got bored and I was like, maybe I want to do some comedy or something. And I did. I had a 10-year career touring as a comedian and doing all this stuff. So the book is specifically about how to develop a foundation, because that's what I did. I created a financial foundation that allowed me to not do anything for almost 2 years, so I can solely get involved in the industry that I was interested in, which was music at the time. And then it talks about how to network, market, and practice, but in the more human aspect, not necessarily the mechanical aspect of here's my card, give me a call. It was more about people. And then it goes over how to invest in assets. So you could sit here. I don't work, and I just sit home. And well, I don't just sit home, but I don't leave the house because this is my life. So it talks about assets, developing wealth, especially from an artist's position. And then it also talks about how to treat your life like a business, et cetera, et cetera. But each book is like a specific thing. But it's because I kind of left that consulting world behind. I got asked to speak a lot at like different events and colleges and stuff like that. And I got the cancer, so that slowed me down. And I wrote these books, the self-help books, sort of as a goodbye to that world. And then, like, if anybody sort of wants that kind of help from me, I go, well, just buy the books. They are literally not only what I would teach you anyway, but they are in my voice. There's a lot of humor in the book, so it's not just like you shouldn't be doing these things. There's a lot of sarcasm. There's a lot of I have a really fun back and forth dialogue in it too. So I add some like actual, like what I'm assuming somebody would ask me, kind of like dialogue. So it's a really fun series. It's not just here is information. It is a ride. I used to more paranormal. That's what I was thinking, right? Paranormal stuff. Yeah. You get the paranormal. Did you ever see? I know you're across the pond, but did you? Well, obviously they would have the same. Do you not get these movies? The Paranormal Activity, and were you like, this is fake, right? Or were you like, I could believe this. I could believe this, because I had friends that always wanted to watch those movies, and like there's like 6 of them, and every time we watch them, they're just, it's like, I was like, I can't watch this stuff. I feel like the demons are in my house now. You are welcome. You are welcome, man. Oh yeah, those they're so fun. They're just the first one is really good. What's one time I was watching The Ring, I know this is a completely different, and you know how like there's the moment in the movie, spoiler alert, where they watch the full tape. They actually watch the tape, and I had already seen the movie, so I knew it was coming, and I had my friend there, and she was watching whatever, and we're sitting there in the dark, and I had already pre-dialed my phone to have her number ready. And the video, the movie, we're watching the movie, and the video gets played, and then it ends, and then it's she jumped up. First, her spirit jumped out of her body, and then her body jumped, and they seem to have gone two. They went two different ways. She was so scared. It was so funny. I felt so bad. I always, gave her hugs and everything, but it was so funny. It was so. She thought it was very funny. Once she was like, I'm not going to die in 7 days, 3 days, or whatever it is. Very funny. You think Demi will get Best Actress? Not going off. So, are you talking about for that movie she did where about age and like appearance and stuff like that? I haven't seen the movie, but she's a fantastic actress, and she's 62. She kind of came back into the world of acting. So I hope she wins. I mean, the trailer and some of the scenes I watched, very good stuff. Maybe. To be fair, all that stuff is, all the award stuff, being in that industry, it's fake. Like you have to pay not only to be basically nominated, but you're marketing yourself. The studio that did the project has X amount of time to submit, and a studio can only submit so many people. So they have to choose who they submit. And then there's a campaign for it, which costs a lot of money. And then that's why like we get like the free discs and stuff in the mail because they want us to vote on it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff involved. So it's more politicky than it is pure talent. That's very, very naughty. It was very naughty. Yeah, very funny moment though. Yay! Yeah. She definitely she is a great actress. So she's also from the Brat. What is it? The Brat Pack or something? I don't know. What is it? The Demi Moore Brat. Yeah, she's from the Brat Pack. The Brat Pack, which was Andrew McCarthy, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheehan, Emilio Estevez, John Cryer, Demi Moore, David Bloom or Blum. I don't remember him actually. Timothy Hutton, of course. Leah Thompson. Leah Thompson. She was amazing. She's still alive, so she's still amazing. There you go. Exciting. What else? I think that's it. All right. I had a lot of fun. Did everyone have fun? Did you learn something today? I know it was supposed to be a writing script, but did you learn anything? Did we feel elevated today? It's all been exciting. Boop, 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 boop. All right. I learned a lot. Thank you. That's the only reason I do this channel is to absolutely help people with the writing and learning and stuff. We had a nice WeChat. We sure did have a nice WeChat. Now you have to tell me, is it a poor English accent? Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing very well. So, so next Saturday, yes, and every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a live video Saturdays and Sundays. Every Sunday, I work on a sci-fi book in real time and show people the behind the scenes. It's all on the screen. I work through it. I teach people what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. As far as next Saturday goes, we will be doing... we are continuing with video 3 of What is Writing series. And we'll be talking about the one or more of these three things technique to help with writing. I have a poor English accent. I don't know what that means, unless you're saying it's Cockney, and I can't even do Cockney. I can't do many accents. Well, that was terrible. That was like California meets not England. All right. Like totally. Okay. Uh, I will be there. Can you help me on the cure? Well, that's always something that I can do. There are two different ways. Obviously, you could come to these live, ask a few questions here and there. But if you need me to do some practical stuff where I'm looking at things and having putting a lot of time into it, that's something maybe we could talk in private. You could email me. My email is the right mindset to gb.com. You could email me right there. Boop. Look at that. Boom. The right mindset, TJB at gmail. And we could talk about, maybe doing something, me helping you, whatever the case may be. If you just want me to look at something and just read over and give you some thoughts, that's also that'll do for any. I'm okay just doing that. You don't have to worry about hiring me. I'll just give it a once over. But if I have to put work into something, that's when we have to talk about doing something a little deeper. I'm about 50 miles away from the Scottish border. Ooh, Scotland. Oh, excellent. So you're like right there. So isn't that area technically the Gores, right? So isn't it like is Great Britain the Gores territory? Yeah, I think they are, right? No, they are not. I am bad at this. Oh, that's France. That's right. France. Gore refers to the triangle piece of land, and Great Britain is a large island. That's right. It's next to the Great Britain. Woo! I'm in Newcastle. That's interesting because I'm in Oldcastle. By the way, there is a Newcastle, Ohio, in the Midwest of the Americas, or the states, I should say. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Newcastle upon Tyne. Oh, look at that. That's a nice area. I'm brainstorming my story, even though I have written most of my chapters. Listen, sometimes you gotta brainstorm even after. Honestly, you've watched me. So my zero draft, that isn't even like the end of the story. I'm still brainstorming. I'm thinking about where I can move chapters, delete chapters, add the chapters, things like that. Yeah. I will be right there. Thanks for today's session. Anytime. Welcome aboard, Aaron Jones. I really appreciate the love and support. Yeah, it is nice. Look at that. Look at that. I have to pick a place to go vacation, and Sicily and Ireland are not that we're talking about either of those two places, but those are my two to go tos. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, because Scotland is north of England on the island. And then Wales exists to the left. That's right. Then there's Ireland. Who doesn't want to go to Cork, though, Let's go to Cork. But I had 5 pages of a bucket list, and I got everything off that list except for one thing: go to Ireland. And I haven't done it there yet. I gotta wait though. Apparently, the states aren't doing very well with planes, so I'm gonna take a break from the flying a little bit because I think when they say get on the plane, they literally mean get on top of the plane right now. They don't know how the planes work because stupid stuff going on. Ridiculous. Live in a really nice area. Look at that bridge. Is that a bridge or is that a thing? What is that? Oh yeah, it's a bridge. That's pretty. Wow, the lights are beautiful. I'm jealous. It'd be better. I would be. I have my boat ready. Yeah. Little boat. Anyway. Will you be there with a towel? Be like, this way, Tomas. This way. All right. I guess that's it. We're done. We're done. We did it. That was exciting. I had a lot of fun today. Woo. Is that it? Do I have a final thought? Not really. No final thought today. I'll do a final thought. You want me to do a final thought? Here we go. Okay. With that said, please remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon if you haven't done so already, so you can't miss out. Please like, comment, share. That always helps. The sharing absolutely helps. I'm trying to get to that 4,000 watch and I'm like this close. Much love to everyone who came by and supported. It means more to me than you know. I only do this channel as an opportunity to share and elevate writers and give the resources that are needed. Like I said, I don't work because I'm basically done. So I just love doing this to help. I've always been a teacher in some sort of way, and this is the most important thing to me in the world, is guiding people and doing what we can. So with that, I am off. Oh, we'll see you tomorrow. More Laura Olivia. Yeah. On the morrow, I'll see you. Or over morrow is the next. Anyway. Yeah. So with that, I will see you, Flowers, definitely tomorrow. That means thank you so much for that. So much love, appreciation, and remember, as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.